Blog Talk Radio.
What's going on, folks? It's your boy Long Beach Joe. We back at it. We back at it again. A lot to talk about. Listen, this Jets team has a lot of options. A lot of options going forward for the future. And our head coaching search, things is really heating up. We got a lot to talk about tonight. So listen, let's go ahead and get into it. I'm the man of the people. I'm here for the people. Let me shamelessly promote my Facebook page. Everyone go on Facebook, search The Long Beach Joe Show. Like that page. My content's up there. Go ahead and give it a listen. Message me. I'll message you right back. I love going back and forth with folks about this football team. Also, leave me some feedback. Love hearing about what you folks think I do here on The Long Beach Joe Show. So without further ado, folks, let's go ahead and get into the show. I am fired up, okay? I'm fired up. Listen, I'm also across my social media platforms as well. YoungJ000 on YouTube or on Twitter. The Long Beach Joe Show on Twitter as well. Also, follow me across my Instagram, too. My Instagram is Long Beach Joe 00. Please, you know what I'm saying? Follow me across there. Message me. I'll message you right back. I love going back and forth with folks on there as well. You know what I'm saying? I'm also on iTunes, too. You know what I'm saying? The Long Beach Joe Show. Go on there. Please subscribe to me on iTunes. Give me some ratings. You know what I'm saying? Give me a 5-star. Tell me what you think about the show. I love, going back and forth with folks. And I love, everyone just showing me love or just talking about, listening to my content and, engaging with me. So I love that. So, again, everybody, please, hit me up in those platforms. But, listen, we got a lot to talk about tonight, and we're going to get to it. 515-602-9639, call in. I want to talk to everybody. But before we get to everybody, I just want to give a little, my little take about our head coaching search. Everyone knows we brought a couple of guys in, different people. It's been multiple guys. We just, interviewed Brian DeBall, Joe Brady, Brandon Staley. There's other guys we brought in as well, Arthur Smith, Matt Eberflus, Marvin Lewis, we interviewed him, Aaron Glenn. The list goes on and on. There's so many names of guys that we brought in. But it's really starting to heat up right now because there's reports coming out that Robert Saleh, the San Francisco 49ers defensive coordinator, is getting a second interview. And he seems to be, according to, reports, he seems to be one of the guys that's leading, in the candidate to, be the Jets' next head coach. And a lot of people are thinking, hey, he's getting that second interview, that he's going to probably be the guy to get the job. Now, for some of you that don't know about Robert Saleh, let me tell you, this dude is a fiery guy. He's fiery. He's motivated. He's, he gets in his players, behinds if they don't do what he needs them to do. He's a guy that inspires players. All the players, especially on the defensive side over there in San Francisco, they love him. He was definitely in San Fran. He was defensive coordinator since 2017. That's when Kyle Shanahan originally put his staff together. He was there, but he really shined. He really came on in 2019, 2020. They battled a lot of stuff, man. The Niners had a lot of injuries. We played the Niners. They had a hell of a lot of injuries just in that game alone. A lot of guys, Bosa, and I think Butner went down in that game. Thomas, I think, went down in that game. They had so many guys, not playing on that side of the football for them. But guess what? They were still able to keep things together, and a big part of that was because he was there as their defensive coordinator. He made sure that their scheme was good, that everything was put together. And let me tell you something. They balled out. They still played well, even with all the injuries and things that they sustained. You know what I'm saying? So he's just doing his thing over there. And, I mean, the defense just did not give up whatsoever. They were still able to push, go forward, and I think they only gave up – I think they finished 5th in yards or something like that, allowed per game. So this was a defense that was still able to produce while being there. And he seems like, again, a head coaching candidate. Seems like the guy here that may get the job. And I know that there's some, people that are not necessarily excited about it. Some people want us to go with an offensive-minded guy. Me, myself, the guys on my list are pretty offensive-minded. But I think Saleh can bring something to the table as well from a standpoint of being a defensive coordinator, so more of a defensive-minded head coach. But it's also about the staff that he assembles, I think, is extremely important as well. Having him here is phenomenal. That's great. But who else is he going to bring here to really help that other side of the football get better? Who else is he going to bring here to groom and mature our young quarterback, whether it be Sam Darnold or we take, Justin Fields, who we'll be talking about tonight as well? Who is going to be in charge of bettering, this offense that has stunk for the last, 2+ years? You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of questions surrounding that, a lot of things going on. But let me tell you, Solei's supposed to be getting in. There's Jets are supposed to be flying him in and figuring out what's going on there. So we'll see how that works out. We'll see what happens. But right now, again, according to a lot of reports, he's the name. He's the hot name to get the Jets job. And let me tell you something before I get to the callers, because we're going to get to you folks in just a second. It's crazy how all these narratives, right? Does everybody remember all the narratives? The Jets lost the first pick in the first round. Oh, the Jets are stupid. There's nobody after the first pick that's going to matter. That narrative was smashed. We're now talking about Justin Fields. We'll talk about Devontae Smith and the show he put on last night. So all these narratives about that is being smashed, right? Push that aside. Oh, the Jets don't have the first pick. Oh, the Jets are an unattractive spot for next, hot head coaching hires. Nobody's going to want to coach the Jets. They can't get Trevor Lawrence. That's been smashed as well. That narrative's been smashed. You got guys like Brian DeBoer coming in for interviews. Robert Saleh is a guy that's coming in. He's coming in for a second interview. We've interviewed Eric Bieniemy, Matt Eberflus, all these hot coaching candidate names, right? The ones that we weren't supposed to be able to get. Damn, we're getting them. All those narratives from before about how, oh, yeah, we'll never be able to get these guys. Well, they're coming in, and they're taking interviews. So they're clearly interested in the job here, and now we're about to get another guy back for a second interview, and he may be the guy we actually hire, and he's a hot name. All those narratives, I remember those narratives, they're being smashed. So I'm going to get to the callers. We got a lot to talk about tonight. We're going to talk about the head coaching search. I know some people want to talk about everything outside of, about Robert Saleh as well. There's other coaching candidates other people won't. We're also going to talk about Deshaun Watson. Some people want to trade for him. I want to hear your takes on that. I want to hear your takes. You know what I'm saying? We're going to talk about the draft a little bit too. So we're going to get to the lines. Salute to everybody, on the lines. Please be patient. I got quite a bit of callers, but I will get to everybody. I'll listen to everybody's takes. Also, salute to my guys in the chat, my savages in the chat. If this is your first time listening to me, I call everybody in the chat my savages, man. Why? Because they're savage. Nobody is safe. Nobody. Okay? Anybody can get it out here. It doesn't matter. And they will let you know. All right? So I'm going to get to the callers first, and I will be coming to the savages a little bit later on in the show. So if you're in the chat talking, I will be responding to you. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to go to my guy E first, man. E, I'm coming directly to you, my friend. And I want to hear your takes, my man, because let me tell you something. This head coaching search is heating up right now, E. E, salute to you. Welcome to the show. Give me your thoughts about Robert Saleh possibly being the next head coach for the New York Jets.
What's up, Joe? Every time I look more into it, it grows on me more and more, man. I would love this guy. A buddy of mine's a 49ers fan, so I've watched some games with him, and every time I saw this super pumped up guy on the sideline, giving high fives, and then I come home, watch the Jets game, and I see a dude just standing there with his play sheet over his mouth and just sitting on a bench, Adam Gase, and that would just be night and day. And I love this move. And not only do I love the candidate, and a lot of people are worried about, it's a defensive guy, we probably want an offensive guy. Well, the coordinators he can bring with him are phenomenal. So here's the three names I've heard. So you got Mike Kafka, who's the quarterback's coach for the Kansas City Chiefs, basically very much helped develop Patrick Mahomes. He could be the offensive coordinator. And then you have you have the passing game coordinator, Mike LaFleur, brother of Matt LaFleur, who seems to be doing a pretty good job. And then Mike McDaniels, the run game coordinator. So you could bring either one of those three alongside him, which they're all very highly touted coordinators. I would be so in for that. And then you obviously bring kind of a smaller name defensive coordinator, because probably Saul will call it defensive plays, stuff like that. But he'll kind of fill that CEO role. But man, I'd love this role. It keeps changing with me for who I want the most, who's my number one. I think he might be my number one at the moment just because of the staff he can bring. My number one, unfortunately, doesn't look like he's going to interview, which is Matt Campbell from Iowa State. It looks like he's not going to interview. I'd love to get also Pat Fitzgerald from Northwestern. I don't know what the deal with him is. Usually with the college coaches, there's not too much buzz on them with interviews and stuff until kind of later in the process. But Saleh, man, if he's coming back for a second interview, don't let him leave the building, man. And I think we're probably, honestly, man, we on a couple of shows ago, we talked about, the most attractive spots. I honestly think we might be number two because of the stuff that's been going on with the Jaguars owner about how this guy wants to take roster control and stuff like that. I don't think any coach wants to deal with that. So I think we might be number two. which is cool, and I think we have a really good shot at getting this guy. So, yeah, man, I'm super high on him, and I'd love to see him be our next head coach.
Yeah, and a lot of the things that you brought up, and again, I want to thank you for calling it, E. A lot of things that you brought up are right, spot on. I'm excited about the guy. He wasn't necessarily my top guy, but, even, hearing about him being in the search where the Jets were interested in him early, I said, okay, this is a guy that I could see us doing some work with, even though he's not, one of my top 3 guys. He's still a guy that could be qualified to come here, really do things. And one of the things that you brought up is the staff, the importance of the staff, Kafka and even LaFleur, are some of the guys rumored to be, coming in with him as well. Those are guys that have been around that can actually put things together, offensively and really help us. And like you said, the quarterbacks coach coming over, from Kansas City, that would be huge because, again, and we've talked about this constantly, have we not, E? The importance of having someone come in and be able to understand how to utilize a young quarterback in his skill set, how to better a young quarterback in his skill set, and how to make sure that a young quarterback is confident when they go out there in what they have to do. Now, with all of that said, though, E, I know you said some of your guys that, Matt Campbell, you talked about Fitzpatrick as well, not being a guy that, we ended up with. They didn't interview. But are there any other guys that you think the Jets should be interested outside of Saleh? Because I like Brian DeBoer. I loved Eric B. And I would love to see those guys get a chance. Even though Saleh is coming in for that second interview, I know that the Jets are going to keep their tires moving as well. Would you be interested in other coaches, that could still be out there outside of Saleh if the Jets do not lock into him?
Yeah, so Brian Daboll is probably my favorite out of the offensive coordinators between him and Joe Brady. Joe Brady was my number one at one point, but I honestly don't know if he's ready yet. He's it's not really his age that it's an issue with his experience. Yeah. He's only been an NFL play caller for a year. I think he needs another year or two. Just with him assembling the staff, I don't know if he's ready yet. At first I was like, you get a young guy, young team, but I honestly would rather go with the safer option. But Eric Bieniemy, I do like. Matt Eberflus, there's not a ton of talent on that Colts defense, and he gets a ton out of them. I'm high on him, especially I haven't heard that many people. I just don't think a lot of people are familiar with him, but I've heard a lot of good things about him.
Okay.
TJ Fleck.
What are your thoughts on Doug Pederson?
Absolutely no. Absolutely no. I know. I don't want any. I don't want retread. But that's the thing with me. I think these guys, like, the Mike McCarthy's, the Adam Gase, like, I'm not comparing these guys, but Mike McCarthy, Doug Pederson, they won a Super Bowl. But it was a few years ago, and, man, seeing what happened in Philly this past year, like, you had a former MVP talent, like a quarterback who almost won an MVP, and he literally looked like you had to trade him. I just think all these retread guys, I think they need a year as a coordinator. And, I'm just not interested in him. Also, I think a big factor – I don't want to take away too much from the guy. I think a big factor in 2017 with how good that offense was with Frank Reich, who's now the Colts, head coach, and he's a phenomenal head coach. So I really just don't want to get a retread option. It depends which retread it is. Like, hell, if, like, Belichick got fired, then, yeah, I'll take him. But, like, you know what I'm saying? But I'm just interested in kind of a new guy. And I think Doug Pederson needs kind of more time as needs to be a coordinator for another year until he gets another shot. I'm not interested in him, to be honest.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I hear your coaching takes, and like I said as well, there's a lot of interesting guys that are still out there, but Saleh, I think, is a name that, we could all be okay with. If he's the guy that brings in the staff like you just talked about, I'd be excited about that. So moving on from that, though, there's been a lot of other things going on outside of that, E. I know me and you, we chopped it up a little bit, but we didn't go too crazy on social media about a lot of Jets fans being excited about the idea of bringing in Deshaun Watson and trading for him. I know that you wanted to talk about that as well. What side of the fence are you on? Are you a guy that wants to bring him in, or are you a guy that's saying, no, thank you, it's too much. I'll just, keep what I have and go into the draft and, assemble my team from there?
Oh, I would do whatever it takes. I would do whatever it takes to get the guy. I would do a lot to get the guy. For me,
okay. How much are we talking?
All right, so here's my trade proposal. Number 2 this year, both first-round picks next year, and Sam Darnold to Houston, and maybe another mid-round pick or something. Maybe you don't have to give up. You only have to give up 1 first-round pick for next year. I wouldn't give up 2 this year just because I think you need that Seattle pick for, you know, a higher draft pick just to kind of improve the situation. But I think, you know, we can get a lot done with our second-round picks. I think if you improve your offensive line through free agency and you use that, which sucks what happened last night. Wyatt Davis, a guard from Ohio State, I really wanted to take with the Seattle pick. I think he tore his ACL or something, which that sucks. But I would do that for Watson. I don't think that's going to be enough. I don't think the Jets are going to do it, honestly. I'm scared about him going to Miami. I do not want that at all.
So you're telling me you're willing to give up 3 first-round picks, or I don't think that's enough, but you would be interested in giving up 3 first-round picks and a bunch of mid-rounds and Sam Darnold?
No.
You know, just to have a shot at Deshaun Watson?
3 first and Sam Darnold. And I think people are saying, oh, why didn't they?
And that's including the second-round pick, right?
No.
I mean, that's including the second pick in the first round, right?
Yes.
Whoa.
I'm guessing you're not a fan?
What did you just say? That was a lot, man. That's a lot. How are we going to I'm going to challenge this point. E, you knew from the jump I was going to challenge this point. All right, here we go, because I'm ready to go.
Here we go.
I'm ready to go. All right. How exactly are we supposed to rebuild? How are we supposed to rebuild if you give away 3 first-round picks? That means you're giving away 3. The second this year, you're giving away the 2 next year, right? So those are gone. Now all we have, and you're giving away some mid-round picks as well. So now all we have is the first,
no, I'm
the
not
23rd
giving up. In my
pick.
proposal, I'm not giving up mid-round picks.
You just said you would give up 1 mid-round pick, like a 3rd or a 4th or something.
No,
like
a
that, right?
late pick, like a 4th or something, like a 4th or something, not like a 2nd or 3rd. No.
Okay, so that's a mid-round, but you're giving up a 4th-round pick.
Okay.
So how exactly are you supposed to build after that? You have holes everywhere. We have, like, our entire offensive line outside of Mekhi Becton needs to be replaced. We need corners.
I don't agree.
We don't have those. You don't think our entire offensive line outside of Becton needs work? Are you comfortable going into next year with Greg Van Roten as your starting guard?
Oh, no. I think McGovern can turn it around, and I think Fant was all right. I don't think he was that bad.
Oh, okay. I mean, I would not. But if you can get better, if you can get a guy, you know, some people are talking about drafting Sowell this year. Some people are talking about taking other, you know, offensive linemen as well within those first rounds. Even some of the linemen that are coming out next year are better than what we have now. How are you doing that? Also, how are you passing up on the talent at wide receiver as well? Are you comfortable next year going into the season with, you're going to go into the season with less than what we have because Bashad Perriman is on a 1-year deal. Are you comfortable with just Mims? You're going to have to pay Crowder, that means he's going to be making $11 million, 11.5, I believe, next year. You're stuck with that. You don't have a number 1. You really don't have a number 2. What are you surrounding him with? We don't have a tight end. We don't have anything.
You can sign like a Corey Davis or a Curtis Samuel, a cheaper option like that. You can draft the guy in the second round. With the offensive line, I think we're going to get Joe Thuney. And then, hey, man, a year of not playing, I think Cam Clark, I want to see it. If he can be a decent guard, that's your right guard right there. So,
but I got a question.
Think a lot of the pressure,
even with that,
yeah.
Okay, even when we go with that, let's say we do that, right? We go with that. Joe Thuney is going to get big time money. We only got $70 million in cap. So if you're going into free agency, the name of the game in free agency is to overpay. So even though you're talking about Corey Davis and those guys being cheap, we've seen before where, again, we know some of the guys that may be in free agency, Allen Robinson, Galladay. I think Godwin might touch free agency. I doubt if those 2 guys touch free agency, but definitely Allen Robinson is a name that's out there. But we've seen in prior free agency classes, the weak free agency class, you know, usually these wide receivers that are in weak free agency class, they get overpaid, vastly overpaid. We saw that with Humphreys in his free agency class. He was vastly overpaid. So even though you may think that some of those guys are going to be cheap, they're not going to be cheap in free agency because we've seen that in the past. But even if you do that, how are you shoring up? Let's say you do sign one of those free agent wide receivers. Is that better than what you have? Are you improving the weapon? That's the question. And then what are you doing at corner? How are you addressing pass rusher?
Okay, so this year's free agency, I think, is going to be a lot different because there's so many teams that are either right on the salary cap or way over it because it's going down. So there's very few amount of teams that can actually spend. We have the luxury of actually having salary cap space this year, and you can clear more, cut Henry Anderson, cut Alex Lewis, goodbye. So you can do that. And then, what was it? What did you say? At wide receiver? So I'm guessing Mims is going to improve a lot. You can, if you bring in Deshaun Watson, which we're not getting Deshaun Watson. This is just fantasizing. I don't think it's going to happen. This is just what I would try to do. But just dream it. I'm dreaming here.
You dreaming? Go ahead. You dreaming?
Yeah, you got to think Mims is going to get a lot better, and wide receivers are going to look better with Deshaun Watson. Man, like he can throw a deep ball, Sam Darnold can't, and I think Sam Darnold honestly limits some of these wide receivers. So you're going to see improvement from them. There's a reason Mims played really well with Perryman. If you want to bring him back, I kind of do, kind of don't. He's always hurt. Played way better with Flacco than he did with Darnold because elevated quarterback play. So you're already getting better weapons. And also Watson's weapons in Houston, they aren't great. And his situation's not great either.
Okay.
You know, you got your big left tackle. You got.
Yeah. Listen, go ahead. Yeah. Look, I hear you. I hear what you're saying. I understand. You know, people want him, but I don't see a space unless the Texans are willing to give him up for a first round pick and some change. I just don't. We are not in the space for him. Even happening. Trying to fantasize about getting him. We're not in the space for him. We're not in the space for him. And the problem is that we didn't invest properly. We didn't invest properly. We didn't invest our capital properly, and it costed us. And it's costing us now. It costed us players in the past as well. One of the reasons why Jamal Adams walked away and everybody loved him is, let me tell you something. He did not want to lose anymore. He didn't want to be on a team anymore that didn't understand how to get to the next level. But so, I got to keep going.
In the first
Go
round.
ahead.
He still got eliminated in the first round. Which, shout out to Blitzboy and the Seahawks for the higher draft pick, and the Steelers. They helped us with their draft position. Shout out to them, especially you, Blitzboy. Yeah.
Absolutely. Listen, I got to get back to these lines, man. I want to thank you for calling in, my friend. It's always good to talk to you. You know, I love going back and forth with you about football. You have a good night, my friend.
Yeah, man, you too.
All right, you have a good one. Listen, E calling in. He's on the line. Salute to him, man. Salute to him. He always, salute to him. Salute to him. Yeah, salute to him, man. Salute to E. He's always bringing the fire, man. I love going back and forth with him. Everybody has their takes. I won't necessarily, even if I don't agree with your take, I'm definitely going to challenge you. But look, there's a lot of fans that want Watson as well. There's a lot of fans that want to bring him to this football team and want to have him on here. So I'm going to be talking about it all night tonight. And again, Robert Saleh, hot name. Jets bringing him in for that second interview. We're going to hear about it. So we're going back to the lines again. Salute to all the savages in the chat. I'll come to y'all in a second. I'm going to my guy Rich, man. My guy Rich on the line. Rich, I want to thank you for calling in tonight, my man. How are you feeling about Robert Saleh right now? Do you want him as the Jets' next head coach?
Joe, what's going on? And honestly, I don't have a problem with it. If he's going to bring the staff that they're saying that he's going to bring, which I wouldn't mind having either LaFleur or McDaniels as the offensive coordinator. They know, both of those guys know Kyle Shanahan's offense like the back of their hand. So, not that, the West Coast offense and all that good stuff. So they fresh young minds for a young team. I don't mind it at all. Robert Saleh has the love and respect from his peers, from his players, from his other coaches talk about him highly. So he's the type of coach that a player would want to run through a wall for. And he has the demeanor to be that CEO coach as well. So I don't have a problem with it at all. And it would work out perfectly because, like I said, people like you, I was thinking to myself, hey, you know what? I would want an offensive-minded guy because outside of well, never mind. I was going to say Adam Gase, but that's not an offensive-minded coach. We haven't had an offensive-minded coach in more than 20 years. So
yeah,
we need to look hard in that direction in terms of what we're going to do here. So, but if we're going to have a defensive-minded coach, then hey, and he's bringing in a staff like that, like I said, then I don't have a problem with it. Let's do it.
Okay. Now, I know we're talking because we're talking about him being brought in for that second interview, and people are really warming up to him. But who would you prefer? Is that the guy that you prefer to come in? Is there a guy that's on your mind that you would rather have the Jets? Because I know a lot of people. Again, I was big on DeBoe. I'm big on Airbnb. I'm big on Arthur Smith, even though the Titans didn't necessarily look the greatest in their loss, but I was high on those guys. So is there any other guys that you would be high on?
Well, number one, you know, because I've said it many times on this program, number one for me was always Eric Bieniemy. And Eric Bieniemy wanted us, from what we heard, or excuse me, what I read, thinks that he wants the Jets head coaching job. Now, does he get it? I don't know. But I guess maybe in his interview he wasn't convincing in terms of who he would bring in as coordinators and all that stuff. I don't know. I can't say. I guess that's one area where, Rob Saleh had him beat. But if it were up to me, it would be Eric B. And then right there, Deshaun Watson would come running to New York. That's right. I said it.
Oh, so you're what? Okay, Rich, listen. You already know. I want to hear your takes on this. Okay.
Here we go.
Here we go, because we're about to get into it. All right. Deshaun Watson. Do you want to trade for him? And if you do, how much are you willing to give up?
First of all, much love and respect to the caller before me, but thank God that he's not the GM of any football team out there, because that sounded like an RG3 type deal that he was trying to pull off there.
Okay.
But honestly, this is the way I look at it. You have to play it smart, because it's not like all of a sudden, Deshaun decided he wants to go live closer to his family, so he wants to go play in Miami or go play in New York. No, he's done, gone, goodbye from Houston, because he doesn't like the way that they handle, social justice and the way that they go about their hiring process for, African Americans and all that. So the coach that he wanted didn't even get an interview with him. So using that information right there, then Joe Judge says, hey, listen, this guy doesn't even want to play for you. So we'll give you this, which, okay, let's say we give him the first-round pick in this year, the number 2, and I believe, number 23, something like that? And,
okay.
And is that what we have in the first round, the second pick and the 23rd pick? Am I
well, yeah, we have the second pick and the 23rd pick, and then we have 2 first-round picks next year as well, if you're just talking about first round.
Give you right. So we'll give you the second and the 23rd pick this year, and if you want Sam Darnold, cool, you can take him. If you don't, then we'll keep him and we'll flip him for some, for a second-round pick. But I'm not giving up 2 years worth of first-round picks for a guy who clearly doesn't want to be on the team. I mean, I don't even know how the Seahawks gave up 2. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, and I hear what you're saying, and that was one of the points that I made as well, where if you look at our trade with the Seahawks, they gave up 2 first-round picks for a safety. Trevor Lawrence is, it's argued that Trevor Lawrence is worth basically damn near 3 drafts. So when you look at the situation with Deshaun Watson, I mean, if a guy coming out of college would just put potential is, a guy that people are estimating you give up 3 to 4 first-round picks for, then what the hell do you give up for the 5th ranked quarterback in the league? There's going to be a lot. If anything, Trevor Lawrence is going to be, what Deshaun Watson already is. You would hope that he would become what Deshaun Watson is if you're trading that kind of capital away. And I hear what you're saying about the 2 first-round picks this year, but even that, I just don't think that gets it done. I really don't. And I understand that he doesn't want to be on the team, but he also has a no-trade clause as well, Rich. So If he don't want to come here, you know, he's complaining about Houston. Woo! you want to come to the 32nd ranked offense in the league? you want to come to a place that there's where there's no weapons. There's going to be some issues there.
Yeah, like when I first heard that he was disgruntled, that the Jets had the most offer from any other team, which is true. I'm thinking, so you leave one dysfunctional bad team for another dysfunctional bad team? That's what was my first inclination. So, because think about it. We have Denzel, and then, you know, Crowder, and then what? Braxton Berrios? What would you do for him in a trade? A free car wash and a coupon to get a McRib? So, so seriously, like it's mind-boggling. But in my opinion, it's either that, like I said, if Eric Bieniemy becomes the coach, then he's going to try to convince Joe Douglas to go after Deshaun Watson. But I don't think it's going to happen because that's Joe Douglas. At the end of the day, he's always been a scout. He's always been somebody that finds talent. He doesn't go and take somebody that's, you know, already established or whatever. And plus, I don't think, and he's always been that type of guy that he loves to get draft capital. So that's how he helped build up the Eagles. So he's not going to give up the type of capital that probably the Texans are going to want for Deshaun Watson. And honestly speaking, it looks like the owner's bending to Deshaun Watson anyway, so it looks like he's not even going to go anywhere regardless. So,
this
is all just.
It's all fantasy, man. It's all fantasy. So, listen, my final question before I let you go, man, because I got to get to these lines. There's a lot of people on the calls. Again, everyone be patient. I'm getting to everybody quickly. You look at this, let's say the 23rd pick in the draft, right? A lot of people were really impressed last night by Alabama and the show that they put on. Okay? 23rd pick in the draft. Are you taking Najee Harris at 23?
If he's there, I'm definitely taking him. But again,
okay, Rich, go ahead. So talk to me again. We going again. Why are you taking a running back at 23?
One, we should whoever the quarterback is next season, whether it's Sam Darnold or whether it's Justin Fields or whoever, we need to establish more of a running game. Our running game this year was okay, despite the fact that our running back was rented out of a nursing home for all season. Okay. But, I mean, no disrespect to Frank Gore, but in terms of his age, he might as well have been 100 up there. But with a strong running game, you got more options on what to do in the passing game. That's what I've always felt. So, and there's nothing wrong with having a strong running game. Look at Tennessee Titans. They basically built the whole offense around the running backs, and it's gotten them places. But I mean, aside from the game this past weekend, they've looked great in the last two seasons. So, okay. I mean, look, Rich, I hear you. I mean, I wouldn't take him at 23, but I know that there's a lot of Jets fans that after that game were screaming, listen, if Najee's there at 23, damn it, you take him, you know. But I'm not a big fan of taking running backs early, but I hear your take. But listen, Rich, I got to get back to the rest of these callers, my man. It was good to speak to you tonight. Next time I have a show, please call in, man. It was great speaking with you. You have a good night, all right? You too. Take care.
All right, peace. Whew. Listen, Rich called in with the heat, okay? He had to say what he said, and then he finished up. You know, he's willing to take Najee at 23. I don't know if I would do that, but he would take it. Listen, everybody, again, if you're watching, please thumbs up the stream as well. It's greatly appreciated. Again, if you're listening to me on Blog Talk Radio, I live stream during my radio show. So if you hear me talking to the savages, all right, just know that's my guys in the chat. They go off. So we're going to keep getting to these lines. 201-201, looks like a first-time caller. I'm coming directly to you. I want to hear you.
What's up?
Talk to me about your thoughts about Robert Saleh being the next Jets head coach, possibly. How are you feeling about that, my man?
Yo, Joe, this is Mike from Jersey City. When you were with Tyson and Let's Go, I was calling in, man.
Mike, my man, Mike.
Yeah.
What's going on, my dude? It's good to hear from you.
What's up, bro? Yo, so
How
I just want to say that I
Go ahead.
want to like put this here that you and me were the only one. Well, I mean, Tyson understood how terrible the Gase hire was, but you and me kind of like predicted it to a T about how it would basically be doomsday because we hired him. I actually thought it wasn't going to be as bad. Like it over met my expectations of just like this was terrible. But it's history. He's gone. Thank the Lord. Saleh, I am ecstatic. For me, him and Eric Bieniemy were the ones that I wanted the most. And I just want to put this out on the record as just my opinionated self here with this matter. When the Eagles fired Doug Pederson, and you had everyone, I'd say at least 85% of Jets Twitter just like absolutely not. I guess my question is why not? And so I think
so. You're a Doug Pederson guy?
Saying I'm a Doug Pederson guy, but I'm also not saying he is not the worst candidate that would be up for consideration by far. I think Marvin Lewis is the worst. I think if they hired Marvin Lewis, I would not know what to do with myself. I think I understand that he is the CEO guy, right? I understand that, but you have guys like Robert Saleh, who they are giving a second interview to now, who's also a CEO guy. Marvin Lewis, I mean, sure, he took the Bengals out from the absolute swamps when he was hired, right? And he gave them a sense of identity, which yes, this team also needs. But it's just I feel like with how our division has shifted, you have Brian Flores in Miami, you have McDermott in Buffalo and Orchard Park. You have Bill still being Bill. I mean, granted, I think the whole Cam Newton thing was ridiculous. How he got him, I don't know what he was thinking there. But he's still over in Gillette and in Foxborough, and it's just like you can't hire Marvin Lewis. You just fired Gase. You can't hire Marvin Lewis. I also want to say I don't understand the fandom with Joe Brady. If you go look at his resume, the guy, just as one of your first callers said, and it's apparent. Like, just go look at his resume. He was OC for the first time last year under a new head coach, and then before that he was as LSU as a wide receiver coordinating assistant coach, and before that Penn State, and before that William & Mary. I mean, if we wanted to take that risk, and if people kind of are thinking like, okay, he'll be the next Sean McVay, that was a risk we needed to take when we fired Bowles. Not now. We need someone who's like, as certain as we are about, him coming in, changing the culture, being a CEO, and putting us on the right track. And I personally think that is Saleh, or it would be Eric Bieniemy.
Okay. My question for you, Mike, though, is a lot of people look at this situation and they go, okay, there's a lot of Jets fans that say, yeah, he's all right, but he's not necessarily my guy. A lot of Jets fans thought offense, we need to correct this offense. They wanted offensive guys, DeBoe, Bieniemy, Arthur Smith, all those guys. But now Saleh's name is really being thrown into that mix, right? So the question becomes, how concerned are you about if we hire Saleh that the offense, won't be the focus anymore? We'll go back, because we've seen in the past where our defensive guys, that we brought in defensive guys, and the offense was just kind of second to, making sure the defense was built up. Are you concerned that he won't be able to bring in the right guys to better this offense and boost any young quarterback that, we have, whether it be Sam Darnold or we move on? Is that a concern of yours?
That's a great question. And for the first time thinking about it too. Honestly, I think as Jets fans, we need to take like this new era, hopefully, with a grain of salt, particularly that we just came from Gase. I mean, I think as fans, you really have to like dial back on expectations of whoever is hired, because it's like, yes, we need offense, and I understand that, and that's a justified concern of, okay, why are we going with the DC? We need offense, right? But at the same time, everything that you've heard of Saleh and the Richard Sherman endorsement, and he's a man among men and everything, I'm confident in a guy like that at least. You know, John Harbaugh, same deal, right? I mean, yes, he's off, but John, that when I think of when someone says a man among men, I think of guys like John Harbaugh, and you see what the Ravens are, right? And I think any Jet fan would give their toe to be the next Ravens franchise, right? So that I think that you have to take it with a grain of salt. Like Dabble for me, okay. My only question about guys like maybe Dabble, I don't like Arthur Smith. I don't know if anyone watched the Ravens and the Titans game, but it just seemed like he didn't make any adjustments at halftime. You know, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. We've just been through that shit. And then
whoa! Watch the cursing. Watch the cursing. We don't curse on my show.
My bad. Yeah.
No, go ahead.
So you know, and then Dabble, if you want to look at it, it's like, what were they before Beasley and Stephon Diggs arrived? You know, they weren't great before those two arrived.
Yeah, but he did better. He did better Josh Allen's mechanics. I mean, he was there through all of that stuff. So
I'm not,
I understand not having the weapons, but you got a raw prospect like Josh Allen, and you turn that kid into an MVP candidate, dude. That's something else, right? I mean, that's got to count for something.
Right. He did make Josh Allen better, but I also think Josh Allen is better, also a huge deal because of the people he has. That's where we went wrong with Sam Darnold, and I think that also needs to be addressed a lot more. It's like, look, yes, should Sam Darnold be the quarterback going forward? Depending on how you look at the draft, probably in most scenarios, no. But it's a paradigm that I think most fans understand on why he shouldn't, and that's because the Jets failed him, right? You had Bowles, you had Bates, you had Morton, you had Gase, and you had Loggins, right? I mean, that's a joke. So what we saw how they did it with in Orchard Park in Buffalo, okay, he didn't have a great. Josh Allen, I don't think you'd say had a great last year, right? Nothing like this year. So they got him Stephon Diggs. They brought in Cole Beasley. They worked on the mechanics. You did everything to help that quarterback. In Cleveland now with this spike from Baker Mayfield, a new coach. I personally think coaching matters more than players. Okay, you have this guy Stefanski. He knew what he needed to do with Baker, and he got it done. And now they're in the playoffs. They just beat the Steelers.
Okay.
They whooped them at.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a fact. That's a fact. Look,
honestly, it looks like they're actually better without Odell Beckham Jr. And you have guys like Landry, Chubb help a lot, the running game, right? So this is, I guess I want to, back to your original question is I personally do have the confidence that if we're hearing the connections about who he would bring in, and you're hearing guys like Mike McDaniels, Kafka, but they're saying if the enemy is hired, Kafka will probably go there. LaFleur, and I think if you look at all of those guys, especially McDaniels and obviously Saleh, just the fact that they're coming down from the Kyle Shanahan tree makes me like super, super excited, right? I mean, just every Sunday you hear these analysts saying, look at what they're doing over in San Francisco. You know, give Kyle Shanahan a competent quarterback, you know, and this 49ers team, watch out, right? And so I think that goes a long way to on your resume to say, I was under Kyle Shanahan's wing, right? I coached under him. And so that's why I think people should be excited under Saleh. And hopefully going forward, it proves that Joe Douglas, right now I'm pretty content. And I hope that as we're speaking now, I think they are interviewing because his plane came in late from reports. And I hope, they don't let him walk out. That'll put us in a little bit
I hope they don't either. So my final question for you, and you gave some great takes on the head coaching search and, the possible hire of Saleh as well. Salute to you. So my final question before I let you go, because we got to get back to these lines, is, are you taking Najee Harris at 23?
Look, I think if most of us watched yesterday, right? I think, and you asked about 23, but I'm going to shift it to 2 right now because I think that plays a role into then what you do at 23. Okay, I think at 2, that it shrunk for the Jets to mess this pick up. It shrunk over the last 3 weeks. Okay, like I think we, as Jet fans, we should be very, very excited for this draft because I think there's only a couple, in my mind, a couple of picks where they could completely, mess this up. And I'd say personally, I am one of those guys that don't understand why or that I think that they should not draft Zach Wilson. You either go Fields if you're going quarterback. Okay, you go Fields if you're going quarterback. If you're not going quarterback, you go Devonta Smith, who I think, as we saw yesterday, I mean, that would be – nobody should be angry with that pick at 2. Sewell at 2, I don't think people really should be angry at that. Or at the very worst, which I still wouldn't mind, but I personally would think it's better than Wilson, is you get a king's ransom for that number 2 pick. Trade back, but get a king's ransom for that. And then at 23, I think I personally would like to see the best available guard. I don't think Van Ross is that great. Najee Harris or Trey Sermon or Etienne, you could possibly move up maybe. Hopefully one of those guys falls a little bit, but one of those guys would suffice for me. Obviously Harris being the best, Sermon or Etienne would be also great. And look, even at 2, you also have guys like you have Kyle Pitts hopefully still in that ballpark up there at either in between 2 and 23, and you have Jamar Chase. All of these guys would be great picks. Absolute great picks.
Yeah. Dude, this is a heck of a call for you, dude. This is a call. Go ahead. Say it again.
What do you do at 2 and 23? What's your take on that?
This is a great question. And before I let you go, this is a great question though. So for me, at 2, I'm trading down. I'm trading down because we need help on so many levels on this football team. It's unbelievable. I really don't think that people understand because they haven't seen. Free agency is coming, and let me tell you, we got guys on 1-year deals, and some of those guys that are on 1-year deals are not that great. And we need help at multiple positions. We have no pass rusher. We need wide receivers. I keep saying we need offensive line help out the wazoo. Like, we have so much, that needs to be done on the team. I am trading down out of number 2. For me, my target is if the Falcons aren't willing to give up quite a bit, or if they're willing to stand pat, because I'm prepared for that as well, and I'll be giving my takes as the draft continues to come on. We'll definitely, get into more of that. But Denver, that pick, and I'm even willing to go down to where Chicago is if they're really willing to give up a haul, because the future of that team is in peril. Let me tell you. They got cap issues. They're not going to be very good. There's some issues there. So 23 for me, though, it depends on what I get for the haul. But even then, I'm taking offensive linemen, particularly in the first, or a wide receiver. I love Smith, but I don't know where he'll go. There's a chance he could go top 5 or something like that. People are speculating. But 23, I'm looking, if I can't grab a receiver, if I can't grab, something there, then 23, I'm definitely looking to also, grab more offensive line or take a wide receiver there, or even trade down as an option there too, after I trade down from 2 and take something. So, yeah. I mean, there's quite a bit to be answered. But, Mike, I got to get back to these lines, man. Listen, thank you for calling in, my friend. Next time I have a show, I want to hear from you, man. I love talking football with you, and I love going back and forth. So you have a good night, my friend.
All right, you too, bro.
All right, you have a good one. Whew, listen, Mike from Jersey City, fire caller. We're going to keep getting to these lines, all right? I'm going to my guy Dwayne next. My guy Dwayne. And salute to everybody, man. Salute to everybody in the chat. Salute to everybody from overseas that's watching me. I see my guys from London in there. I see my guys from Ireland in there as well. Salute to y'all. Thank y'all for watching me. You know what I'm saying? But we're going to keep going to these lines. We call in. I'm going to talk to you as well. But you're coming to my guy Dwayne, man. Listen, my guy Dwayne, he be coming with the fire. Dwayne, listen, I want to thank you for calling in, my man. Give me your thoughts on Doug Pederson. Do you think he should be the Jets' next head coach?
Doug Pederson, I'm not throwing him away immediately.
Okay.
I think the narrative behind him is worse than his coaching ability. And with the Jets, unfortunately, the narrative holds a lot of weight when it comes to the Jets. I think narrative changes the way the whole Jets operation operates, to be honest with you. So that's the main reason I wouldn't hire him. The whole tanking thing. That's the main reason I wouldn't hire him. Plus, I like the other candidates better. I do. There's a bunch of I like better. So that's why I wouldn't take Pederson. Yeah, man. As far as what's his name? Saleh. I was very upset when I heard about that he was hired. Can you hear me? I think there was a disconnection. Can you hear me? Joe.
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. I apologize. It's Blog Talk. It's tripping as usual. Continue to go ahead. What were your thoughts about Saleh again? I'm sorry.
Yeah, when I first heard, I was very upset.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Okay.
Because I'm the type of person where I look at trends and I look at what worked, what doesn't work, why it worked, and why it didn't work. And what I know about today's NFL is even if you get a defensive coach with a coordinator, on-fire coordinator, well-known, he's going to be gone within a year or two. So unless you have a coaching tree where the quarterback's coach is learning from the offensive coordinator, and you can keep recycling that way, we're not going to have a sustainable success. It's kind of
wow. So you don't think you'll be able to bring in coordinators that will be able to get us turned around in the right direction at all?
I think for the first year or two, possibly for the first year or two, he has a lot of names connected with him. And I love those names. I love those names that are connected with him. But I don't think the Jets are going to win a Super Bowl in 2 years. So
how would you know that?
Their offense.
I mean, how would you know that we won't be competing or have things turned around within the next 2 years? Because there's also 2 drafts, there's free agency. There's a lot of things that kind of, are unknown.
It's not that it's not possible. I think if you look at the competition, the Chiefs, the Green Bay, and all those teams that are out there, we can get into the playoffs. We can definitely get into the playoffs within 2 years. But the chances of us making this complete turnaround and becoming a Super Bowl team that quickly, I have my doubts about that. I mean, it's possible, but there are doubts. So let's say we turn around this offense with the coordinators we have. If those coordinators are that hot in the coaching market, they're going to be gone within 2 years. Does that make sense?
I mean, I hear what you're saying, but there's just a lot of unknowns. That's not necessarily true. And just because they're going to be hot, even if they are hot, that doesn't mean they're going to be gone. That doesn't mean they're going to sign somewhere else immediately. I understand, your concern, but our ability to be able to change the face of this football team, could be big. If you look at what Joe Douglas has done just with this draft alone, the one that he had, right? We came in here, there was a lot of issues, particularly up front. He got a tackle in the first round that should have been a Pro Bowler. A lot of people are arguing an All-Pro, but he made an immediate impact as a rookie. He's literally the best offensive lineman that we have, period. He's one of the best offensive linemen in the league, period. If you look at, what's being done with our wide receiver position as well, Mims is one of the best wide receivers we have. We don't know if he's a number 1 or number 2 yet, but we've seen explosive ability from him. We've seen this guy, when given the ball, when the ball has been put in his hands, we've seen him be able to turn things around and really get things going. You look at some of the other picks that he made as well. Ashton Davis contributed. Zangia contributed. There's other guys that he's been able to bring in, too, that have contributed. We talk about Ty Johnson. I mean, there's so many guys that have done things, on this football team, and this is just Joe Douglas's first year with the free agency and with the draft. So I understand what you're saying about being concerned, and I get the old Jets narrative. I understand it. Believe me, we've all been fans long enough of this football team. They will break your heart and they will break you down. All right, I'm not knocking anybody, but I think a lot of the things that you're talking about is a lot of them are unknowns. You don't know that for sure. You don't know if a coach is going to immediately walk away from a position because he's doing well, because there's a lot of coaches in the NFL that are constantly being hounded for head coaching jobs that are coordinators that don't leave their teams. Hell, how many times have we talked about college coaches that are unbelievably gifted that people are screaming for to move into the league and they won't do it? So that's not necessarily there either, but I do understand your take, but I don't agree with that. But moving on and moving forward, because you were really bringing the fire about, not looking at Doug Pederson and narratives and things like that. One of the things that's really floating around right now with this Jets fan base is Deshaun Watson. There's a lot of fans that are screaming that we must get this guy immediately. What are your thoughts on that? And are you willing to give away capital to get Deshaun Watson?
The only thing I would give away for Deshaun Watson, and I don't mean this in a disrespectful way, I would only give away that 23rd pick. I would only give away that 23rd pick and use the rest to build a team. Because, of course, I think Deshaun is ultra talented, and I think he can make a difference on his team, unlike a lot of regular pocket quarterbacks that I don't think pocket quarterbacks are the biggest changers of teams. I think you need to be very mobile to be one quarterback that makes a big difference. So I would trade something for him, but what I'm hearing about 4 picks and 3 first-round picks and all this stuff, that makes no sense. Why? Like, I don't know why. Like, the Jets fans, they always get hyped for somebody, and they never get hyped for the right people. Like, I've been hyped for offensive linemen year after year after year, and trust me, it's hard to get hyped for offensive linemen. I get it. But this is what you build a team with. The offensive line first, then I guess you could say the quarterback, cornerback, pass rush. We have quarterback, no offensive line, no cornerback. Well, I mean, you can kind of say Bryce Hall, and no edge rush, right? So I think you can build something with that defense. The defense is still good, and that's why you can kind of not leave it alone, but take these picks and build that offense. You build that offense, and with Salah, you can have an ultimate defense and then have something sustainable. I'm hoping this turns out like Pete Carroll and Seahawks. That's what I'm hoping for. We hire Salah. I'm hoping it turns out like a great defense, and our quarterback, whether it be Sam, can really do something for it. And I'm looking at what's that guy's name, Devonta Smith. I'm looking to hopefully keep Sam Darnold, but I don't know. But as far as Deshaun, I don't think there's one man that can save a football team. Maybe basketball, not football.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Look, I hear you, Dwayne. Listen, I got to get to these callers, my friend. Thank you for calling in. Next time I have a show, I want to hear from you again as well, man. You know your stuff. You have a good night, my friend.
You too, man. Great show.
All right, thank you so much, bro. Listen, Dwayne calling in, he's got his takes. And look, Ken, I understand, that old Jets fans narrative that, hey, look, this team, is always something going on. It's always something jacked up. We're going to find a way to jack it up. I get it. But we've got to turn that corner. Part of the way that we're going to change the culture here as well is to stop, thinking that, hey, we're going to lose, that we're losers. No, we got to pick it up. If you want to turn things around, let me tell you something. You want to change the way that you're doing things out in the world, you got to go out there and take that. You got to go out there and pick yourself up and go, look, I'm going to go out there and get mine. You got to do that. We've got to do that as a fan base as well. We got to start being more positive and start talking about ways to turn things around. But I understand that because for so long, that has been the attitude here. Absolutely. So I'm going to get going to these callers again. Salute to everyone in the chat. I'm coming to 914. 914, I'm coming to you. You know what I'm saying? I got other callers on the line as well. We'll get to everybody. Please be patient. And again, if you're listening to me, please don't call into my show cursing because I'll get you out of here real fast. So again, 914 coming directly to you. Man, listen, I want you to give me your thoughts on Robert Saleh possibly being the Jets' new head coach. How are you feeling about that?
I'm feeling good. And breaking news, he just arrived at Florham Park 1 Jets Drive.
Okay, that's what I'm talking about. That he's in the building, man. So what are your thoughts? Are you liking him? Are you liking what he could possibly do for the defense?
First of all, he's the type of coach that Johnson and Douglas want, that CEO, that executive type of head coach. Also, I'm a guy who's a big advocate of diversity in the NFL, and if we were to hire Saleh, he would be the first Muslim head coach in NFL history. So that's a big thing.
Yes.
I mean,
that's big.
To give guys who don't, these types of people don't always get the opportunity to be head coaches. So to give them an opportunity is always a nice thing.
Yeah, that's a fact. What are your thoughts about Deshaun Watson and the possibility of bringing him here? I know a lot of Jets fans are screaming that we should trade for him. Would you be interested in trading for Watson, and what type of capital would you give up?
I'd do it for the right price. Like, I'd give up the second, and next year Seattle, and maybe a 2021 third-round pick. Because here's the thing.
You're looking – go ahead.
This is what I want to do is because I just think Sam Darnold's shot because – I actually did this. I did a 16-game projection of Sam Darnold and Joe Flacco with the same roster and the same weapons, and I'll give you the numbers. So Sam Darnold in 16 games.
Look, I understand like the projection and stuff like that, but you also got to count in the head coaching. But I understand what you're saying about giving away the capital that you brought up. That first, that the second pick in the first round, and then the 23rd or the Seattle pick next year. I don't know if that gets you Deshaun Watson because this guy is unbelievable. And I mean, you surround him with weapons and things get put together around him. So I don't think that they would take that. I think you'd have to give up more than that, and you probably have to give up some mid-round capital as well.
Here's the thing. If he's forcing his way out of Seattle, I mean Houston, they may not have a choice. They may have to take what offers the best off. They might have to take what offers out there because he could basically just nuke his trade value.
Yeah, but he also has a trade clause as well where he can deny coming here. So the question would be, even if you have to offer, why would he come here? Because we don't have much. Wouldn't he be better suited to go to a place that like had a little bit more than us, that was in more of a situation that would benefit him?
Well, honestly, I don't think the Jets are as bad as people think. I just think Adam Gase was such a horrid head coach. Like I like to call him the anti-coach. And, he would just make talent look worse than what it is. Because his schemes are the equivalent of trying to shove a square peg down a round hole. That is his scheme.
Yeah, that's a fact, man. That's a fact.
I'm going to just recommend this to you. After this live stream's over, check out Brett Kohlerman's A Jets Fan's Guide to Eternal Happiness. He does a roster breakdown and shows this. He does a roster breakdown. He shows this roster is sneakily very good. My big thing.
Okay. Look,
he's very good.
Listen, I respect. I respect everybody's take, man.
But I'm really looking forward to this. Like, I think this team, the big things I think this team needs going forward are on defense. You need a corner one because I think if you bring back Poole, you re-sign May, and then you have Ashton Davis and Bryce Hall, who really just need time to grow as players. That's a very good secondary right there. You need help at edge, and you need a linebacker because I don't know what C.J. Mosley has left in the tank after 2 years of doing almost nothing. And then on offense, the big problem.
Well, you also need an outside linebacker as well because Jordan Jenkins on a 1-year deal. You have to look at Marcus May as well. Marcus May is a safety. He's he could be out the door if we don't re-sign him this offseason. So there's some things that definitely are going to need to be looked at coming this offseason. I don't want to get too far ahead, but you're bringing some fire with your takes. But offensively, what do you think is going to be needed as well? Are you looking at wide receiver help, grabbing that in the draft, or what are you looking at?
I'm thinking wide receiver help. I think you want to get like an Allen Robinson because the big thing is that way you get a veteran wide receiver. You have Mims on his rookie contract, the veteran wide receiver on his big contract, so then you don't end up with two rookies that you got to pay at the same time.
Yeah. No, well, look,
and
I hear
also,
you.
I think after that, you need to get help at guard. Yeah. I think you roll with McGovern. I think he just had no help on the interior. That's why he looked bad. And then I think you roll with Fant another year, grab a project right tackle in the mid rounds, develop him, and then once he's ready, I don't think it's an immediate need to grab a tackle.
Yeah, listen, I hear you, man, but I got to get back to these lines. You're bringing the fire right there.
Question?
Thank you for calling as well, my friend. You have a good night.
Wait, before you go, can I ask you one question?
Go ahead.
All right, if you could add 4 Ring of Honor / Hall of Fame members to this team, Hall of Fame requirements, they had to spend 5 years with the team, who would you add and why?
That's a big question, man. There's a lot of Ring of Honor guys. I mean, to my brain, if we're talking about guys in their prime, Curtis Martin, Wayne Corbett,
Maynard,
Kevin Mawai,
and Mark Gastineau were my
there's some guys, Gastineau. There's some guys out there that are unbelievable in Jets history. So that's quite a list, quite a question. But again, thank you for calling in.
No, you probably had
Weeb. Oh man, he was bringing the fire, dude. He was bringing the fire. I like that guy. He's got his calls. I'm gonna keep going to these callers. Again, salute to everybody watching. We're going to Steve next, man. Steve, we're coming directly to you, my friend. I want you to give me your thoughts about Robert Saleh possibly being the Jets' next head coach, man. What are your thoughts on that?
Hey, Joe. How you doing tonight? Good?
I'm all right. How are you feeling, my friend?
I'm doing good, Joe. I'm sorry. I really couldn't hear you at first. Can you just tell me that question again, please? I apologize.
No, I was saying, how do you feel about Robert Saleh possibly being the Jets' next head coach? What are your thoughts on that?
Okay, here is my thought about Robert Saleh. Here is my thought about him. I think Robert Saleh would be a very good hire. I mean, he kind of reminds me a little bit of Rex Ryan in a bit, but I think he's a little more crazier than Rex Ryan. Listen, I think if he ends up being our coach, the first thing we're going to have to do is that someone's going to have to put a dog leash on him for every single game, okay? Everyone's going to have to put a dog leash on him. I mean, no, listen, here's the thing. I think he is an outstanding defensive-minded guy, and and players love him. I think he is an outstanding candidate, and he was actually my third candidate to be the next head coach of the team. But here is the thing. Here is the thing on me with this. It's going to depend on what he wants to do with his coaching staff that he hires. I think the one big thing that he could do for this team is that we could finally get a legit pass rusher, because obviously he's worked with the best pass rushers before in the NFL and a lot of the best defensive backs. I think he will definitely look at the cornerback position in free agency, because that is a position that we definitely do need. You know something? Overall, I do like the fact that he could be the next Jets head coach. I think he would do 1,000 times better of a job than Adam Gase would. But here is the thing, though, I did hear, though, and this is actually something I am a little bit excited about. Yes, he is the Jets' number one option, but they're saying that my guy, Arthur Smith, could be the number two option if, let's say, if they choose to let Robert Saleh off the hook. But in case if they do let him go, but if they hire him, I will accept it.
Okay. Well, Steve, and you brought up a great point, man. And again, I want to thank you for calling in. You're bringing the fire early. You talked about Arthur Smith. Are you looking at Arthur Smith right now a little bit differently because of the way that the Titans performed offensively in the last football game they played in?
Yeah, no, listen, I will say this. Arthur Smith's coaching was definitely a little off in the second half of the divisional round game. But here was in that wild card game against Baltimore Sunday. But here is the thing, though, which I'm going to say. Listen, I've always have loved Arthur Smith. Like, I love his coaching style. And to me, like I said before, like, reasons why I would want him to bring him here is that if Sam Darnold is still our quarterback, like how he did with Ryan Tannehill, and the way how he revamped Tannehill's career, he would be a guy I would trust that could revamp Sam's career. Now, the thing is, though, like, listen, no matter who the coach is, and I mean, listen, I know people were talking about the whole thing with Doug Pederson yesterday. Listen, from what I've heard, Doug Pederson could possibly be taking some time off from that rough time he went through Philly. And the thing was, the guy just got fired. He needs to have some time to take a break, honestly.
Yeah, no, look, Steve, I hear you, man, and I agree with you. You know, there are some issues in Philly. I don't know if they were necessarily all on him, but I've heard the exact same thing, that he's looking to take that time and figure things out. But I know a lot of people had him connected here because Joe Douglas is here. You know, him and Joe Douglas do have a relationship. You know, they were there in Philly together and were able to, you know, get the job done there. But moving forward as well, because you talk about Arthur Smith, all those other guys, there's a lot of things swirling around, man. A lot of things swirling around. A lot of Jets fans looking to make a move for Deshaun Watson. Is he a guy that you're interested in? And if so, what kind of capital would you give up in a trade for Deshaun Watson?
Okay, here is my thing about Deshaun Watson. I think Deshaun Watson is a phenomenal player. And the way how the Houston Texans have treated him is absolutely disgusting. Like, they lost DeAndre Hopkins because of Bill O'Brien. They lost a lot of, like, his offensive talent that he had at the beginning of his career. But it's just, this is my only issue about Deshaun Watson. Number one, he is very, very expensive to get, okay? He is a very expensive player to get. And I mean, because recently he did sign a big mega contract with the Texans just this past season. He did. The only thing that I have an issue with in bringing listen, I think Deshaun Watson is phenomenal. I think he is great. But this is the thing, though. Number one, he is way too expensive, and the reason why I wouldn't trade him is because I think there's a lot of good players in this draft coming up. This is a big draft class coming up this year. And so if you want my honest opinion, I'm going to say no to Deshaun Watson. But listen, I do agree where Deshaun Watson is coming from. I think he deserves to be on a better team. But here's the thing. The other thing that people are talking about, which I think is crazy, like Deshaun going to Miami. Here's the thing. The general manager of the Miami Dolphins said that Tua is their guy for the future. And it's like, why would you want to give up on Tua Tagovailoa in one season when you want him to trade him to Houston for Deshaun Watson? To me, that is crazy. I'm sorry. The Dolphins should not even try either to trade for Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that could be out there, a lot of, shaking and moving that could happen. But, yeah, I've heard Miami's name out there. But listen, Steve, I got to get back to these callers, man. Got to get back to these lines, quite a bit of people. Thank you for calling in, my friend. It's always good to hear from you. Next time I have a show, I definitely want to hear from you again, my friend. You have a good night.
Yeah, you too, man. Bye-bye.
All right, peace. Oof, Steve, listen, Steve calling in. He's talking his talk as well, all right? There's a lot to be covered. And let me tell you something. A lot of people are feeling certain ways about, the possibility of trading for Deshaun Watson. I know some people are excited about it. Some people don't want it to happen. But there's a lot of takes flying around, man. And, again, this Jets coaching search is firing up. So we're going to keep going to the line. I want to my guy Shaq, man. My guy Shaq is on the line, and I want to hear from him. Listen, Shaq, good to talk to you tonight. Welcome to the show tonight. Give me your thoughts about Robert Saleh possibly being the Jets' next head coach.
What's good, Joe?
What's going on, man?
Another thing. Why you got guys attacking me, man? Why you got guys attacking me, man? And then he gonna try to go personal. For one, actually, I do have a girlfriend for 7 years for his information. And if he's over there, bragging about that he got a wife, maybe the reason he rushes because that's the only girl that probably wants him. But hey, that's another subject for another day. But
let's be respectful.
I'm sorry, Joe. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Let's be respectful.
But
we gotta be respectful.
He shouldn't have went that far.
We gotta be respectful. Let's just be respectful. Let's be respectful, Shaq. Come on now.
Okay.
Come on now,
man. Okay, I apologize. That
let's
came out wrong. It came out wrong.
Let's be respectful.
But hey,
I understand people had their disagreements, but let's not. Let's just all be respectful to each other. All right. Let's get back into football because I want to talk to you about the Jets. You know your stuff. All right. When it comes to football, you know what you're talking about. What are your thoughts about Robert Saleh possibly being the Jets' next head coach?
Well, I like Robert. I like his energy because it's crazy. I was watching the Niners game, when he played us, and then I watched him. I think one of the Monday night games. I was like, he got a crazy energy. Like I love his energy. It's just I don't want to go on that defensive coach again. That road. Even though Rex is fun to watch, but I don't want to go on that road because I'm just trying to get the offense rolling just in case we decide to keep Sam. I want him to have his confidence and do his thing. And plus, when Robert lost his players, his defense wasn't as great. It was like around the middle of the pack, 18, 19. And
but
he
had
a lot of
injuries, Shaq.
Yeah, he had a lot of injuries.
Like everybody.
Yeah, so I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind seeing his energy, but I'm just trying to get this offense moving. I'm tired of watching 3-and-outs and having to rely on the defense to slow down the offense. Like, I want to be able to score points for people, and we draft right. You know.
So what are your thoughts about some of the names that are connected to him as far as guys that could come in and really help this offensive side of the ball? Because his staff, people are talking about Costa from the Chiefs. People are talking about Florio as well. I mean, there's a lot of names attached to him of guys that he could possibly bring in that would raise or elevate the play of this offensive side of the ball. Do you think he'd be able to do that if hired?
I hope so. I hope we have a decent offense to at least go with the defense and try to work with it, and we gel and build a team, not just a quarterback.
Okay. My final question for you, Shaq, is you look at this situation, all right, with Watson. There's a lot of people looking at him right now saying that they would trade for him. Would you be willing to trade for Deshaun Watson?
You kind of changed my mind on that one, because I was going crazy to where I was like, man, I said I love Sam, but I would love to have Deshaun, but then you hit something on the head, like it's we would have to give up a lot, because Jamal Adams was given away for 2 first rounds. Just imagine what Deshaun Watson would be given away for, and what they want for Trevor Lawrence. And the only thing that would probably diminish the value of the trade is his contract, because he do have a huge contract, and that's going to be a big cap on the team. And also with that contract, it also can destroy our chances of free agency as well. So you kind of changed my mind on that. You said that too, So I wouldn't want Deshaun. The most I would probably give up for him is maybe the second pick, and Sam, if they would want, but that's about it.
Okay.
But we gotta build this team right. We gotta do this. We gotta do this thing right, man. I was always the biggest critic of Joe Douglas, but I said just give him a chance, even though he did a horrible job this season and lied to Sam Darnold's parents, whether anybody likes it or not. He lied to his parents. Let's be real. Drafted in one receiver in the draft, in a receiver-rich draft. Now be watching Claypool and Jefferson and everybody going crazy. And, don't get me started. But for my first comment, I want to apologize because I felt offended. I felt
okay, Shaq.
But if he have any differences with me, he can go on my Facebook page, Shakim James, SHAKIM. If he want to go and talk to me personally, or he could go to my Twitter, Shaq Jet. That's for anybody, Shaq Jet on Twitter. You want to talk to me personally, it don't matter, it don't bother me. Just don't bring in my significant other.
Let's just all respect each other. I understand things get a little hot. People disagree. Takes are flying. But, let's just all respect each other. But, Shaq, listen, I want to thank you for calling in, my man. I got to get back to the rest of these lines. It's always good to talk to you. Next time I have a show, man, I want to hear from you again. You know your stuff.
Oh, yeah, of course, Joe. Hey, Joe, man, just keep the Sam Darnold jersey on. Keep that on. And again, I want to apologize for disrespecting your show, because I love you. You're my guy. Just keep your Sam Darnold jersey on. I'm going to keep mine on.
All right. You have a good night, Shaq. Listen, Shaq calling in, man. I respect everybody. I understand people disagree, about certain things, particularly takes, It's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of things flying around, but we're going to keep going on with these calls. Again, salute to everybody that calls in. Salute to all the savages in the chat. I'm getting to everybody. Please be patient. Again, if this is your first time calling in, do not curse when you call into my show. I will get you out of here fast. I'm talking fast, real fast. Faster than Adam Gase can ruin offensive talent. That is fast. That is fast, okay? That's fast. That is fast. Real quick. All right? Real quick. I mean, whoo. All right, so we're going to keep getting to these calls, man. I'm going to 857. 857, I'm coming directly to you. Hey,
what's going on?
First off, this is first-time caller, I believe. Give me your name, where you're from, and also, what are your thoughts about Robert Saleh possibly being our next head coach?
Yeah, how you doing? My name is Chris Phillips. I live in the enemy's town. I live in Boston, but I'm a big Jets fan from Hofstra University out there. I need to say hello to all my people out there. All right, so this is my thing about it, okay? If we're talking about Eric Bieniemy and Robert Saleh, right, who won the Super Bowl? Mm-hmm. Eric Bieniemy's team actually came back, scored like all these points against Robert Saleh's defense. Fully. If we asking who's a better mind, Eric Bieniemy actually beat this guy. So I don't understand why Eric Bieniemy is not being interviewed as the coach, because I don't think this is what I'm saying. We've had defensive coaches, and I can't see the difference between Robert Saleh and what's the guy that just got fired from Atlanta? What's his name? I forget his name. Oh my God.
Dan Quinn.
Dan Quinn. So Dan Quinn was in charge of that. Then Dan Quinn had a lot of energy. Dan Quinn came into Atlanta. They had some short-term success, but ultimately it ended in a bad situation. So for me, Eric Bieniemy is the number one guy. You know, Andy Reid's guys go in and actually do what they need to do. And if you compare the two on the field, Eric Bieniemy's offense beat Robert Saleh's defense.
Okay. So you'd rather have a guy like Eric Bieniemy over Robert Saleh?
Yeah, I would definitely bring him in as the coach, because I think that he's had 3 years he grew him in for head coach. You know, he's under Andy Reid. People under that umbrella have done pretty well, better than the Belichick tree. But you know, they've done well. So this guy, I don't see. Listen, I don't make the argument for me that Robert Saleh is better than Dan Quinn. I don't. He has a lot of energy. He has a lot of things. So did Dan Quinn, and he had Matt Ryan. So and Julio Jones. And we had a problem with offensive, and he was not able to coach the thing. And I think that, you know, if I look at the two, I'm looking like, what's the difference between Dan Quinn and Robert Saleh? What's the difference? And if the head-to-head between Eric Bieniemy and him, it's definitely Eric Bieniemy. He's the guy. Or one. Eric Bieniemy is the one, and I would say the second would be one of the guys on the Baltimore coaching staff. Lastly, before I get out of here, I want to talk about the Deshaun Watson situation, because a lot of Jet fans are talking about, I want to keep Sam Darnold, and I've been around this team, you know, all my life, and I've seen Ken O'Brien coming here. I've seen Ryan, you know, Pat Ryan. I've seen they tried to bring Browning Nagel. We haven't had a great quarterback in almost 30 years. And I'm saying you can build teams through free agency. And how many picks that we have? Number one picks we have.
Wait a second, Chris. Wait a second, Chris. Now, I hear what you're saying about Deshaun Watson, and I respect your take there. You cannot build teams through free agency. You can't do that, because we tried that before, and we failed. Like,
I'm not
unbelievably
badly.
You cannot do that. You can't build teams through free agency, especially with the type of needs that we have. We only have $70 million. Who usually is the highest paid free agents? You know, once it's time to pay players in free agency, right? It's usually what? Pass rushers, offensive linemen, corners, right? Mm-hmm. And wide receivers, right? Right? Isn't that right?
Right. Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
So guess who we need? Wide receivers, corners, pass rushers, and offensive linemen.
But listen, I've seen.
We only got $70 million. How would we possibly do that?
Your take is very well known. But I'm up here in this area, and I seen Tom Brady take guys in the second round, and I compared Deshaun Watson to Tom Brady. I've seen him take these guys and make them stars. I've seen him make guys better than they are. And my thing is that I've seen an offensive a B and C talent become A talent on the scheme of the offense and the quarterback. And I'm saying is that if we had to give up this pick, the Seattle pick, maybe even the 27th, and maybe even next year's pick. If it's no, but I'll give you the last. Look at the last 4. Makai Becton excluded because it was a great pick. I agree with that. You got guys that some guys that aren't even in the NFL anymore. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I mean,
but that
Jamal
was a different
Adams
general manager.
Right.
Yeah, that was a different general manager though, who didn't understand how to draft. That doesn't devalue the actual value of the draft and getting players there. It's just we had a general manager that had no clue what he's doing, so that's not the same. I do understand your take, but here's the deal with that. One of the things that you're also forgetting about that Patriots one with Tom Brady is the coaching. The coaching in New England is phenomenal. They get stuff out of players that we can't even get out of them. We've seen them have players in their building that were amazing. The player leaves, goes somewhere else, doesn't look the same. And then we've had some of their players will come back after leaving and look exactly the way they did before they left. So comparing our situation or comparing, how to build a football team the way the Patriots have that trifecta. They have, great coaching that gets the most out of talent. They have guys that are talented, that have talent. And Tom Brady is one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. So I understand what you're saying, but that's not necessarily a team building method here, especially when you're talking about the holes that we have on this football team. I mean, even when I'm asking you, okay, well, what exactly are we doing? How exactly are we filling all these holes? How are you filling out the rest of your offensive line? How are you getting how are you getting wide receivers in here? How are you getting corners, pass rushers? Go ahead.
I agree with what you're saying. Okay, I agree with what you're saying. But let me ask you a question. Okay, you're looking at the old teams. This is what I see, and I'm just going by what I see up here. Okay, I'm going by a championship team, and I'm a Jet fan, and they rub me off. It makes me angry. 3 to 6 rounds, the 3rd to 6th round, we have not drafted well, and the championship teams are built in the 3rd to 6th to 7th round. And free agency, we have yet to actually first round picks. Okay, first round picks are good. A lot of them guys. Get the guy like Saquon Barkley, who's a Hall of Famer, or there's a couple of guys in this draft are going to be very good. But at the end of the day, you still have to. The 3rd to 6th round is what builds championship teams. And the thing is that I'm saying like this. This is I'm pleading, and I want you to think about this, man. You can only win a Super Bowl with a great quarterback, not a guy you can say, hey, we can put some pieces around them, because we tried the Sanchez project failed.
That's not true.
And it failed. We tried to do
that's not true at all
with Mark Sanchez. We did it.
Yeah,
but
I hear what you're saying, but that's not true, because Trent Dilfer won a Super Bowl. He's not a great quarterback.
Right.
He's not a guy that's an all-time legend on any stream. It's about look. I understand what you're saying. Right. The talent has to be there. You have to have a quarterback that understands and can better your offense and keep you from turning over. You can't have a quarterback that's going to lose you games. I understand that, but that's not the only way to team build. And I get what you're talking about, Sam Darnold. You wanting to get that another quarterback, another change, and that's I understand that. And to your argument, I would say, okay, if you're that concerned about quarterback and you want another guy in here that's going to be able to move forward, if you're not confident in Sam Darnold, why not take one of the young quarterbacks that's coming out in this draft? Why would you trade away all of your drafts and completely take yourself out of the frame to be able to rebuild your football team because you don't have nothing else?
I'm of the minority. Like this, I think Adam Gase is the worst. We all agree that Adam Gase is the worst coach in NFL history. Okay, I've seen Richard go tight. I've seen this guy, man. This guy is just unbelievably bad, man. And I think the team is not. I don't think the team is. And there's some guys that we don't know about. You guys are talking about. What about Cameron Clark? We don't know what he can do. We haven't even seen some of these guys play. So we got draft choices from them. We don't know if they can play. We can say, we want to draft the Clark. Cameron Clark is sitting right there. Guy's 6'6", 300-something pounds, is a mauler. And look at the guards that we have. We got even Frank Gore got yards. I don't think that Tim that bad. So what I'm saying is that this is what I say. I'm saying that yes, I think Justin Fields can be a great quarterback. I like Zach Wilson. I don't know what he can do against great off defensive talent. I think Justin Fields has some talent there. But if you want a sure thing, and please, Jet fans, think about this, man. Over the 20, I've seen all these quarterbacks come come in this thing, except for Vinny Testaverde when he came in as a free agent. We haven't had a great quarterback in this franchise. This is the one time we can get a great quarterback, and then we can surround them with talent. And the quarterback makes the most money. He claimed that $40 million salary because he did. Because you have to build, and this is what we don't win.
But this is my question though, Chris. I hear your
round.
take, but this is my question. Hold on, this is my question though. If you're telling me that I understand you want to grab a quarterback, and in your opinion, this is the first time we'll have like that upper echelon quarterback. But then you say surround him with talent. But how? You talk to me about free agency. He makes $35 to I think like $40 million within the next year. How can you surround him with talent? We all know that even the better teams, Seattle is feeling the effects of paying Russell Wilson that much money and how much it's hitting their cap. So how exactly are we supposed to build around him via free agency if he's making $35 to $40 million on the cap the next year, and then we have no other ways to build the team because we gave away all of our first round picks and plus more probably mid round picks as well.
But like I said,
how do you do
what I'm saying is that. Okay, let me explain to you how you do it. Okay, you got C.J. Mosley here. Okay, it is the only large contract that we're paying. Okay, C.J. Mosley contract can be off the books within 2 years, or what have you. Okay, so my thing is that's the only free agent we're paying. Not this year, but we've drafted some great talent that we can develop. We have talent now we can develop. We don't have to look to this draft.
Yeah, but a lot of that came from the first round. The most talented player that we have on offense, right, is at this point, Sam, I think it could be a good quarterback. I think Mims is phenomenal. But the most talented player we have is on our offensive line. That's our left tackle. We drafted him in the first round. You're talking about getting rid of all the first rounders. That's what you said. If you want Deshaun Watson, you're getting rid of all the first rounders. And you're giving away some mid-round picks from the draft as well. So now your draft has holes in it. How are you drafting these players?
I said if we give away 3 first rounds, we can get them. And Sam Darnold. I would say I would give our second, 27th, and I would give away Seattle's pick and Sam Darnold, and that's what I would offer for him. That's worth a first round pick because I think if you get Deshaun Watson, I think he's that good that you're talking about AFC championship within 2 years, 2.5 years, because we still got C.J. Mosley. Okay, we still got a great player. People take about C.J. Mosley like he's nothing and he's just this bum. C.J. Mosley's a baller. He's a dog. He's a great. He's had 2 years. He can come and really change this team. So my thing is I don't think the team is that bad. We beat Cleveland, COVID, and we beat at the end of the year. We beat a team like the Rams. I don't think it's that bad that you were talking about. I just think Adam Gase is that bad. I take this thing totally on Gase. I think it was his fault. I know you got other callers, but I
gotta get to them in a second.
Get to them. And I love the show, man. I'm gonna watch you in Gang Green. But I love the Jets. Whatever they do, that's just my opinion, my man.
No, I hear you, and I respect you, and I want to thank you for calling in, Chris. Listen, next time I have a show, I want to hear from you, man, because you got takes. I challenge everybody. I challenge everybody's takes.
Yeah,
I love everybody.
I
love going back and forth, but. Yeah. So I love it. So again, thank you for calling in, Chris. You have a good night, my man.
All right, brother.
Listen, Chris calling in with the fire. He wants to speak his mind, and I respect it. Look, I understand some people want to trade for Deshaun Watson. I get it. But when you say that you want to trade for this guy, I'm asking you if you're willing to give up the capital that it's going to take to get him. Okay? If you're willing to give up those 3 first-round picks or 4 first-round picks, how are you building behind him? That's the question. That's my question for everybody. If you are willing to give up that capital, if you have no problem doing that, can someone please tell me how you're building behind him? How are you doing that? People tell me, okay, well, Joe, free agency. I'll go to free agency and I'll pay. Okay, well, how are you doing that? How are you telling me you're going to give Allen Robinson $20 million a season and then you're going to pay Deshaun Watson the $35 to $40 million a season he has next year? We only have $70 million in cap space. Also, people need to keep in mind that the cap floor is going to be lowering as well. It already lowered this year. You don't think it's going to lower again next year? We're still dealing with the issues Everyone knows what's going on around this world. Okay, I'm not going to say it because you two be tripping, but we all know what's going on. The cap could lower again next year. And you'd be paying 2 players on your offense pretty much $50, $60 million. That's just 2 players. The cap is $70 million. You have no pass rushers. You have no corners. You have no good offensive linemen outside of Mekhi Becton. You have nothing. And your safety might be gone too. How the hell are you going to pay Marcus May? I'm just asking I'm asking questions. I want to hear. I want to hear from everybody. Listen, I'm going to go to my guy Jason next, and then we're going to come to Venom G's for show. We definitely going to talk to him. But I'm going to my guy, Jason next, I believe this is. Listen, Jason, I want to thank you for calling in tonight. Jason, how are you feeling about the possibility of Robert Saleh becoming our next head coach?
Thank you for letting me be on. Very interesting. I've been having a fun night with hearing all these calls and everyone's opinions. To be honest, I have a feeling that we won't be seeing him going to be signing tonight. As said, as some people are getting hyped for it and everything, I believe Joe Douglas wants to see everything. He wants to probably see the Bills' offensive coordinator, and they're still he can't still talk to him because they're still in the playoffs. So he might want to wait, because if he could take us to the playoffs, but he wanted to choose this guy, and this guy doesn't take us there, it would be a horrible thing. So we're hearing everything right now that everyone wants him signed tonight, and I don't think we won't get him to sign. I would love the signing either way, but I don't think it won't happen tonight.
Okay. Yeah, I respect that. Are there any other head coaching candidates that you feel that you would want outside of Robert Saleh? Because I know some people heard about Robert and they were like, he's all right, I'll take him, but I'd rather have, Eric Bieniemy or DeBow or Arthur Smith. Some people were even talking about, Don Martindale as well. There were some people screaming, hey, we should bring him in. So who's another guy that you have on your list that you'd like to see?
Well, I actually was sad because Matt Bell
Matt Campbell
is the one. Matt Campbell. Sorry, he didn't want to come. He's staying, which I think he's the coach. He was an A+ coach. He would change everything for us. But I guess the reason he probably didn't want to come here is probably because we have the number 1 pick. Which, if we would have the number 1 pick, I think he would be able to come here. But Eric Bieniemy is interesting because of, again, he's not doing good at interviews, so something is up. Something that's happening in these interviews, he's just not doing good, which is very concerning. So that's something that's very interesting. But I would like to see the Bills' offensive coordinator or the defensive coordinator of the Ravens as well.
Yeah. Okay. Now, I want to talk to you a little bit about the draft as well. You look at the situation. Devontae Smith, he looked phenomenal last night. I mean, that guy was unbelievable. Justin Fields, some people are kind of, shaky about him. But if you're at the number 2 pick right now, are you taking Justin Fields?
So with me, I still believe in Sam. So So for me, I would say we either trade back or take Chanel, the tackle, or maybe the receiver, depending. But he might be having injury concerns because he got injured. So we may just, to be honest, just trade back. And if we want, trade back to probably the 5th or 6th. We could technically still get a QB if somebody wants a QB, or if our GM wants a QB, if there's one there. Or we could continue trade back as well, and then take a receiver or a pass rusher or a CB. There's, again, like you said multiple times, we need a lot of talent on this team. So trade back and getting these players is the number 1 thing at my list right now.
Okay. Look, I respect that. Listen, Jason, I want to thank you for calling in tonight. You had a phenomenal call, man. You have yourself a good night, all right?
You too, man. Peace out, JTS. Jets.
Let's go. Let's go. That's what I'm talking about right now. That's what I'm talking about. I like this call from Jason. He called in with a lot of great takes. We're going to keep going to these lines. The lines is cooking right now. Getting right back to it. I'm going to my guy, man. I'm going to my guy, Venom G's. After that, we're going to Mike and Bay Shore. But listen, Venom G's right now. Savage. Okay, if you ain't know, you need to know. This boy is something else. Venom G's, welcome to the show, my man. Thank you for calling in tonight. How are you feeling about Robert Saleh possibly being the Jets' next head coach?
Oh, man, Joe, I feel great about it. I think we shouldn't let him walk out the building tonight, man. Mm-hmm. You know, so I think his energy, his pedigree, I love everything about it, man.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Is there anybody else on your list that you would maybe prefer over him?
Everybody, they're in the playoffs, so it's going to take some time. I think, you know, I don't know if we have that amount of time to waste just waiting for them. So I think he's probably the best candidate now. Everybody, he's in the playoffs. DeBoer's in the playoffs, so everybody that's available or, you know, we can't talk through zone is probably in the playoffs. So I don't think there's nobody that could come in for a second call at this time.
Okay.
You know, but
and
those
so in
are the two guys that I would like to if we had runner-ups, those would be probably the two.
Okay. So in your opinion, if we go with Saleh, are you concerned that the offensive side of ball will kind of be left to, you know what I'm saying, play like second fiddle? Are you concerned that as a defensive-minded guy that he won't make sure that the offense is taken care of?
No, I think he's going to bring in the right people to, you know, I think the pedigree that he's been around from Seattle and from the 49ers, I think he knows what he's doing, and he's going to put the right people in place. I think just because a guy is a defensive coach or a defensive coordinator, we don't got to just say, oh, they're going to disregard the other side of the ball. So I think what they want is somebody that knows what's going on and somebody that's going to be, you know, open to running the franchise a certain way. Just know what's going on offense, what's going on defense, maybe a game manager or something like that. But I love his energy, though.
Yeah, for sure. That's a great take there. Listen, Deshaun Watson, we've been talking about it tonight. There's a lot of people that are all about him, man, that want him. A lot of Jets fans saying we need to trade for him immediately. What are your thoughts about trading for Deshaun Watson? Are you open to giving up capital for him?
No, I wouldn't give up anything for Deshaun. I know he's a great quarterback, but I wouldn't give up anything. We just don't have the team right now to, you know, he will look just like Sam Darnold out there. So even if we were to think about trading for him, the capital that we would have to give up is just so astronomical, it just wouldn't make sense. You know, so I think, you know, we just gotta build this thing the right way. I know we want a microwave dinner, but I think a homemade dinner would be better. You know, we can't just put it in and get it. We can't put something in the microwave and then expect it to taste like mom's home cooking, man. So we gotta wait this time out and wait for the meal to get done.
Yeah, I respect that. That is a damn good analogy. I like that. I like that quite a bit, Venom. I like that analogy, man. That's some good stuff right there. I respect that. I respect that. I respect that analogy. I respect that. I respect that analogy. I like that. And I tell people the same thing.
I understand why. That we've been losing so much. Everybody just wants something to be done quickly, and they don't understand that money goes into that. You just have to build it the right way, and it's going to take time. Seattle wasn't built like this overnight. You know, San Francisco wasn't built like that overnight. You know, Cleveland, Buffalo, all these guys built through the trenches. And that's what we got to do, just sit down, wait a minute, and watch it unfold.
Yeah, I respect that. So let's talk a little bit about the draft, Venom. Let's talk a little bit about the draft. Najee Harris looked phenomenal last night. He looked phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't see him make plays before. We saw him jump over a guy. We seen him, catching the football out the backfield. I mean, it seemed like damn near nobody on Ohio could to tackle him. Yeah. Are you taking him at 23?
Yeah, guys, you running with 3-4 guys on him, man.
Yeah.
So,
but are you taking him at 23, Venom?
Nope.
Are you taking him with the 23rd pick?
Nope, not at all. I'm staying the course, man. I'm staying the course. I'm thinking we need to build this lineup. I'm sick of trying to. We try to, get all these veteran guys in to go in the O-line. I think we need to get somebody, a rookie and build them up. Just same way we did with back then. I think we need to build it up.
Really bringing the heat right now.
I think Joe's gonna make sure. I think Joe's gonna make sure we build this team the right way. I have faith in Joe Douglas. He's gonna build it the right way. I know we want it to be done overnight. That number 2, I'll probably take the wide receiver from Alabama and then get an offensive lineman in the 23rd, or vice versa. Any which way, I'll take the left tackle. I think it's Swelling. I'll take him at number 2, or even trade back.
Venom is so unbelievably logical. Venom bringing the heat right now. I'm telling you, everything around me is on fire. So, man, Venom calling in.
Confidence to happen, man. It's gonna take some time. I'm waiting for the dinner to be cooked, man. Moms ain't going. Joe Douglas in the kitchen ain't going to make it cook overnight. Don't put me in no microwave food, man. We've been through that too many times.
Man, listen, Venom calling in with the fire. Listen, Venom, I got to get back to these lines. Thank you for calling in tonight. That was a hell of a call, man. That was a hell of a call.
Yeah, no
you
problem,
spoke the truth. A lot of logical takes, man.
Yo, thanks, Joe. If anything, have a great night, and I'm going to see you at the next call.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, man. You have a good one.
You too.
Listen, Venom called in, with some takes, bruh. Had my place on fire, man. That was ridiculous. I was trying to save myself. There was so much heat coming from the call. I just couldn't. What is going on? Why is this happening? Why is Venom G setting myself on fire, man? Blazing takes. We're going to keep going to the calls. Again, I want to thank everybody for calling in tonight. I apologize for anyone that dropped off. We had a lot of callers, a lot of people on. I try to get everybody on, listen to their takes, keep it moving throughout the show. But we're going to our guy, Mike from Bayshore. Mike, you last call of the night, my man. Definitely got to talk about this quickly. Listen, first off, thank you for calling in tonight. Second off, what are your thoughts about Robert Saleh possibly being the Nets head coach, man?
Well, I love it. I mean, he came back a second interview. Joe did that. Everyone, listen, as Jets fans, we all worried because Chris Johnson needs to be just don't say a word. You stay over there with the analyst. And people got to remember, Joe D brought him in the second time. And I like what he does with, not his star players. Bosa didn't play a lot this year, if not any. Okay, they had injuries galore, and they were still competitive. That's called coaching. Yeah. We haven't had that in a long time. Yeah, I would have loved to have Matt Campbell. It would be something different, but, that's fine. Bieniemy, he wants to stay in Kansas City. What scares me about Bieniemy is that he's interviewed for 3 years, and maybe he's not a good interviewer. I get it. But you notice how Andy Reid is not letting Kafka leave. He's not letting Kafka interview. So that you gotta keep an eye on that. And nothing against Bieniemy. I hope he does well in the NFL. But you got to keep an eye on that. Andy Reid let Bieniemy for the last 3 seasons go ahead interview. But he's not letting Kafka move. He didn't give him permission to go for any interviews. But on the I'm excited about it. I'm really excited about it. If we do get the chance to hire him, and he brings some of that coaching from the offensive side from the 49ers over to us, because like I said, that team, you was only as good as your depth. And I'm talking about, man, they have played with all three quarterbacks, or I don't know how many running backs they have. I don't know how many receivers they had, but they were competitive in every game. And they've been competitive for the last, I don't know how many years. And once they had everybody healthy, look what happened. They went to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So you got to keep an eye on that. I'm excited. What about you?
Yeah, look, I like Saleh. He's not necessarily one of the guys that I had in my top three, but when I started hearing the rumors surfacing about how, he was a guy that we were interested in interviewing, and then when we sent out the request, I was, I'm okay with it if we do take him. But like you said as well, I'm just looking to see what kind of staff he brings in, who exactly he brings in offensively, because that's been one of the biggest issues that we've had, these past however many years, not being able to field a competent offense. Honestly, we haven't had one since, LaFitz was here, I think his first year, where he broke franchise records. And even then, when you looked at that offense, around the league, they would have been laughing at those numbers. Some teams in the league would have been like, that's a below average year for us. So I want to see what type of coaching he brings in, and I think a lot of that is really going to impact how pumped up I get. But I do like him. I do like him as a head coaching prospect. I think he brings a lot to the table, fiery, a guy that can motivate. But I'm looking to see, again, what he does with his staff, and if he can turn into that CEO guy, because that's a big thing on it as well. But my next question for you, I want to talk about it. Deshaun Watson, are you in favor of trading for him? And if so, how much capital are you willing to give up?
Absolutely not. I mean, I love Deshaun Watson. I wanted him years back. I couldn't believe Chicago passed on him. I thought, honestly, that year Chicago was going to draft Jamal Adams. They needed a safety, too, at that time. But you cannot even if you had Deshaun Watson, even if you had, maybe Mahomes is a little stretching it. We have so many holes, man. We don't have that capital to give right now. We don't have it to give. And Houston is not getting rid of him. Houston, there's no way. I mean, we could all say, it's a crazy league, but they'd be absolutely out of their mind to get rid of a player like that. He's just a stellar guy on the field, off the field. You do what you can to make him happy. He's a franchise quarterback. He is. I mean, he's going to be wearing the gold jacket, man. Like I said, we can't. I remember you called like a week ago was saying, we should keep Sam Darnold, and when I thought about it, we should keep him. We should keep him because we haven't gave this kid a fair fight. We couldn't give this kid a fair fight. We haven't given him enough around him. And that starts with the running game, because we're going to go to that. What we're going to be talking about in a minute.
Yeah, let's just go there, because I already knew. When I seen, that's why I was like, Mike from Bake Shore is next, man. I'm about to hear it. Listen, your boy Najee Harris, I ain't going to take nothing away from him. I ain't never disrespected Najee, okay? For everybody that's, going to try to hit me on the timeline or on the DMs, I'm not disrespecting Najee. I've never done that. He's phenomenal. He jump over dudes. He run over people. He run around people. Like, there's nothing you could do with this man. Go ahead and get your Najee loving on. Talk to me about how phenomenal he looked yesterday. But this is my question, though, Mike. This is my question. All right, we got a little bit of time left. This is my question, my final question for you. At 23, are you taking Najee Harris?
No, you can't. Even though we want,
what?
It's okay, you can't, though. You can't. Listen, I'm me and every other listener right now. We want Najee Harris.
You're literally the leader of the Najee Harris fan base.
I know.
You're literally the leader.
Get the jersey. I'm going to get the jersey wherever he goes.
Weekday. You called me. You hit me on the timeline. Okay. You send me invites constantly. Everything is Najee Harris with you. Okay? Every time.
Brother,
you're not taking him at 23. Is that what you're telling me?
It's the sexy pick, but we got to do the right thing, man. We got to do the right thing.
Man,
and we got to get
Come on, man.
Hey, at 23, I don't even think
Devontae
Smith would be there.
Come on, man. This guy is the Najee Harris fan base leader calling me. He put up the website. He's emailing people. He's talking to everybody, and he don't want to take Najee Harris at 23.
Well, how about this?
Come on, man. Go ahead. I'm just messing with you, Mike. Go ahead, man.
I know, but how about this? If we picked him early in the second round, I would have no qualms about that whatsoever. I would not.
Okay.
Absolutely. No question. But at 23, I would definitely get another receiver. You know, I see us more than likely trading out of the number 2. You just have to. If this kid from Oregon can remotely even if he can play right tackle, then you draft him.
Yeah.
No question. And then we just build the interior. But we definitely need a run game. And a guy like Najee Harris, man, if we're picking him early in that second round, I got no qualms. That's my guy. But at 23, that's way too high. He's probably going to end up in maybe Pittsburgh, Miami, or even, what are these teams playing this weekend? Might even draft him.
Yeah.
Because, a player like that you cannot pass up on. He's just a game changer. Even though I love it. We haven't had a running back since Curtis Martin, my favorite dread of all time, man. But we need a run game, man, and that's how you win.
Yeah, we do. Listen, Mike, I want to thank you for calling in tonight. It's always great to speak with you, man. Next time I have a show, I want to hear from you, my friend, because I love talking business.
Likewise, brother. Great show, man. Great show. Keep it up, man. Keep it up.
Absolutely. Thank you. You have a good night, man.
All right, player. We'll talk later.
Peace. Listen, Mike from Bayshore calling in, okay? I love that guy. I love talking to him. It's always great to speak with him. Listen, I want to thank everybody for calling in tonight. It was phenomenal to talk to everybody. Again, I apologize for anyone that dropped off. Outside of Blog Talk tripping, Blog Talk is ridiculous. But, had a lot of callers tonight, try to cycle it through as fast as possible. But it was great to speak to everybody. So, this is going to be interesting to see what happens going forward. Again, a lot of narratives being smashed, man. A lot of hot head coaching candidates that came in and interviewed. And we'll see if Robert Saleh ends up, being the guy. Again, there's other guys that can come in, but he's in for that second interview. So we'll see what happens going forward. But listen, I'm the man of the people. I'm here for the people. Let me shamelessly promote my Facebook page. Everyone go on Facebook, search The Long Beach Joe Show. Like that page. My content's up there. Go ahead and give it a listen. Message me. I'll message you right back. I love going back and forth with folks about this football team. Also, give me some feedback. I love hearing about what you folks think I do here on The Long Beach Joe Show. I'm also on Twitter as well at YoungJ000. That's YoungJ000. Follow me. I'll follow you right back, man. I love going back and forth with folks, on Twitter. You want to troll me? No issues. I'm the troll is under the bridge, and I will have my Sam Darnold jersey on at all times. Okay, we'll see what happens going forward, but I got my jersey on. You can also follow the show's Twitter as well at The Long Beach Joe, at The Long Beach Joe on Twitter. All right. I'm also on YouTube as well at Long Beach Joe Jets. Long Beach Joe Jets is the name of the YouTube channel where you can find my content. I live stream through there as well. So if you want to watch the show live, you can go there. Please subscribe, turn on your notifications when you go to that, and give me a thumbs up on my videos. Please thumbs up my streams as well. It's greatly appreciated. So when you folks see me in person, all right, when you see me in person, because eventually you will, it is arms out, chest open, free hugs for everyone. Free hugs for everyone. The hugs will always remain free. I want to thank you folks for watching. Thank you folks for listening. Thank you folks for calling in. You folks are the absolute best, all right? So you folks have a good one. Peace.